Hi, I'm Kimberly Matone, and this is Matone Counseling and Testing's Raindrops on Roses podcast. Today I have Tricia Allen, a licensed clinical mental health counselor at our South Charlotte location. She's also our clinical director here. So glad that you are taking the time to talk to me and be a little vulnerable about what's going on with you.
Of course.
Yes. I just recently went to a conference with Postpartum Support International. So this is all kind of fresh on my mind. Postpartum mental health conditions. 1 in 5 women will have a perimental health condition, and even 1 in 10 men can have some conditions. So first of all, congrats on being a mom.
Thank you. It's fun. It's a journey.
Yes.
But it's worth it.
It is. It is a journey, ups and downs. Yeah.
Yes.
So how old is your daughter right now?
14 months.
Okay.
So a little over 1.
And she's walking and
walking everywhere. She's starting to talk. Definitely knows how to say no. That's her big right now, refusing things. But yeah, she loves walking on her own and anything she can reach.
Okay, great. Tell me what has surprised you most about becoming a mom. You've had a lot of education and experience about parenthood. What has surprised you about becoming a mom?
I was most surprised with how unprepared I was, having a degree in developmental psychology and certifications in child therapy. I thought, this would be easy. I know how to take care of a baby. I nannied. And it's really different when it's your own child, especially postpartum, the hormones and recovering. And then I did breastfeed, so that's a whole other journey, trying to latch and produce. So I was really most surprised with they make motherhood just seem like rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah.
And it is to a point, but it is so hard, and I don't think that's talked about as much.
Right.
It's shocking.
Yeah. There's a lot of expectations on new moms.
Yes, the expectations for sure. Just knowing how to breastfeed, knowing how to swaddle a baby, knowing what the different cries are. Even knowing how to put a diaper on with the umbilical cord, still just little things you don't even think about.
Oh yeah, I remember first night came home with my first child, and she was sneezing uncontrollably.
Oh no,
and
that's terrifying.
It was terrifying,
Yeah.
But they were just sneezes, and she just had little boogers in her nose. And we had to use so I called the nursing line, so terrified. But it's moments like those that you don't, and because hormones have changed, and they're even showing, studies show that women's brains change. And they change to help us become more empathetic towards our own children, but it can also lead to this heightened anxiety at the same time.
Yes, and that's such a great point. The brain changes, or little things you might have not noticed before, become big threats, more than just baby proofing, just any little thing becomes a huge trigger for anxiety.
Yeah. Was there anything, emotions that were different for labor and delivery?
Yeah, actually, I had a C-section scheduled, and then I went into labor. By the time I got to the hospital, it was already far enough along. They said, let's just do natural, and I still said absolutely not. It was a different hospital than I was supposed to deliver at, so it was very stressful in that moment. I did opt for an epidural, which helped me greatly. I don't know how people do without meds, but good for them. And after the epidural, then I really thought about it. Do I want a surgery, or do I want to try to push? So I did decide to do more of a natural birth, but it was terrifying just because I had planned for a C-section. And it was very different hospital, different set of doctors. I think just because I was already so far along at that point, I did just go for it. Then my baby was born not breathing. And that was absolutely the scariest 30 seconds of my life. Thankfully, they had a whole NICU team in there, and they knew how to get her on oxygen and under the heat lamp. But yeah, those are emotions I didn't even think of. Who thinks of their baby being born not breathing and having this terrifying moment?
Yeah. And I think that was something we talked about at this conference was how plans very often don't go according to, and so there should be all these alternate planning done with, if you're seeing a therapist beforehand, or doula, or they can always help you with those plans for things that may not be expected.
Right, planning for the unplanned, and that would have been helpful because I, my one birth plan, I'm going to go to this hospital and have my C-section, and if I had thought of different plans, I may have not been as overwhelmed that night.
But there always comes a time when you just don't know. My first was premature, 6 weeks. And then my second actually had him, but then after 4 days, he had to go into the hospital.
Oh, no. So you go home, and then you had to go back. Nobody plans for that either. You're in the hospital and you go home, not back.
And thank God it was something that was benign. It was called benign sleep myoclonus. I will never forget the term. Just like you're like, I will never forget those 30 seconds when my child was not breathing.
Right.
I mean, it's just like, they're part of you. So
you feel almost, not literally their pain, but not being able to instantly help. They're, having that lack of control too when they were inside you, and you had full control of taking care of them, and then they're just out in the world.
Right. So part of your studies and experience have been with parent-child interaction therapy.
Yes.
Tell me how this has helped or shaped parenthood for you.
I think, working with parents and interacting with their kids, I got a lot of practice on how to speak to kids, and that's been great to even do that with my daughter, reinforcing certain things. But then thinking of clients, I think I'm able to be a little more, relaxed in general, knowing that not all kids are going to react the same way. And even my daughter's a perfect example. One day she'll love mac and cheese, the next day she won't touch a bite. And that's seeing that real life, knowing, okay, one day this might work, and the next day it might not work at all. And that's helped me with clients to give them more backup plans. Whereas before, I think I may have said, this is what the literature and research shows. Let's do this one thing. And now having the mom experience, I know these are great things, and they do work, and I'm using them with my daughter, but also let's have a little more flexibility.
Right. Yeah. So motherhood and parenthood really changes our identity in many different ways. Can you tell me how it's changed your identity simply as a person?
Yeah, I think that definitely tied into some postpartum anxiety and depression, to be honest. I think I lost my sense of self over just maternity leave, breastfeeding, when you are quite literally tied to another person where you can't even necessarily go to the bathroom without them maybe crying or screaming. And I had always had very set hobbies. I would go work out. I had my garden. I'd do all these things that you just can't do with a baby on you. And then also not working, it just started to become, what am I? Am I just a human feeder? And then that mixed with hormones, I started to get really depressed. And thankfully, in the mental health field, I knew this is time to really speak up and make med adjustments, talk to my therapist, just really use all my tools to refine myself.
Okay. How did it change your identity as a counselor, being a mom?
I think definitely more flexible. But then also, I think just maybe not as flexible with certain things, right? I'm thinking more broad, when you start to realize, okay, well, you just can't do certain things with a kid. You can't do certain things as an adult. And then I think of some clients who maybe are doing the same behaviors that are unhealthy as an adult. And that's changed me a little bit as a clinician, being like, oh, well, I would just never do that. In front of my daughter, I would never say that's acceptable. And so I think it's helped me challenge clients maybe a little more. So on one side, being more flexible, but then for clients who need the challenging and saying, but wait, whether you have a kid or not, is this the adult you really want to be?
So you might have a little more insight, like your personal insight that...
More insight, both, challenge and to be more flexible.
Yeah. How do you think being a mom has helped you as clinical director?
I think more with clinicians and just management stuff, realizing that everyone is a baby almost. They're all adults, but I'm just thinking more like this is someone's child. And when my baby cries, I obviously can't hug the clinicians. We're just thinking more mentally of, okay, well, maybe you just went through, death in the family and almost feeling more of their emotions. I think just being able to be a lot more supportive. Not that I wasn't supportive before, but really I think seeing them more as someone's child.
So, you had 3 months off, correct, for maternity leave. How was it like for you returning to work?
At first, I was really anxious. I think hormones. And then definitely putting my daughter in daycare. That was a whole other mental anxiety. But ultimately, once I was back in the office, seeing clients, talking to coworkers, I felt more like myself. And I think that then pushed past the anxiety. Then I started looking forward to coming to work, looking forward to dropping my daughter off for a few hours because I knew she was going to play and I was going to not have someone connected to me for a few hours. And so, yeah, it was hard to come back initially, but then so rewarding.
Oh, good. Yeah. What were some of the things that helped you come back to work to get over that, detaching from your child for 8 hours all of a sudden?
Yeah. A lot of coping skills, a lot of work with my own therapist to mentally prepare. We worked for tons of sessions of just, picture yourself driving to daycare. Like mental exposure therapy, even a plan of once you drop her off, are you going to go straight to work? And I was like, no, I'm going to cry for an hour in the parking lot. So we made a plan, we'll go get a coffee. So while you're crying, you have a coffee. And I did. And I did cry for an hour in the parking lot. But having those plans, it made it a little easier. So just drop her off and go get your coffee. Then go cry. Then go to work. So I think that's what helped me prepare the most, having a plan, but with a professional who knew to kind of help guide me a little bit. And then in all honesty, working with psychiatrists too. I definitely needed some medication to help regulate some hormones and just get through those initial few months. So what kind of a support network? I'm hearing you had a therapist, a psychiatrist. Yes.
What was the kind of the point where you realized, hey, I might need some meds?
Honestly, when I was very first postpartum, I was feeling really depressed. Not to the point of being fully suicidal, but having some thoughts of this is too much. I don't want to do this. Just let my husband take her and feed her formula. I cannot do this. Was really just thoughts of how am I going to do this? And that was my point of this is not me. I've always wanted to be a mom. I love this little girl. There's something going on. And that's where I'm so thankful I'm in this field, and I know that's when you should reach out. And I did initially reach out to my primary care doctor, who then, so this isn't just kind of normal hormone stuff. I think you need more specialized, my OB. So really just being honest with the medical professionals and being open to help. That it doesn't make you a bad mom. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you or your baby. It's just, a lot of hormones, a lot of chemicals, and a huge life adjustment. And so that really helps the medical professionals, and then more on just the personal side, right? My husband was really supportive, but then could point out, and like, you're not really being yourself on even little things. Like, I don't like messes in my house, so I'll constantly be like vacuuming or putting dishes away, and I just stopped caring about messes. Like, whatever, you can do the dishes whenever, we'll vacuum whenever. So little things he started to notice, and then talking to other mom friends, you know, when they also shared, yeah, I felt like that too, and this is what I did, it normalized it.
Yeah, that's great. So as I talked about in the beginning, 1 in 10 men, they also suffer from postpartum depression, anxiety, and other conditions.
Yes.
What has your relationship with your husband been since you've had the baby?
It has been the hardest 14 months of our relationship. You know, we thought we were solid and had all this great communication, and then a baby just changes everything, just responsibility-wise, communication-wise. But then, as you said, just everything changes for both the mommy and the dad. You know, the mom has all these hormones, and you're feeling more, you know, you got to be with your baby. And, you know, I think a lot of partners then feel maybe a little either left out, or you're not giving them as much attention. Things just change, or you don't have dinner together because you're feeding a baby. One person eats while one person's holding. But I do think that our relationship got better when we could both admit that, like, neither of us are working well here. And then we did both do our own individual therapy. We did do couples therapy for a while. And ultimately we came down to our biggest goal is to be great parents for our daughter. And sometimes that means challenging ourselves to say, this isn't a fight that's worth it. This isn't something you can bring up, you know? Like, just wipe the muddy paw prints off the floor. Don't even bring it up. So I think we both had to work on ourselves, but also just our relationship in general.
Yeah. So if you could tell any woman who's about to get pregnant or is just newly pregnant, what would you let moms know?
I'd say don't be afraid to ask for any type of help. It is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength, and more than that, it's building your community, because you start to learn who really will help, who really will just sit with you while you're upset, or who will get you a cup of coffee, or who is going to say, oh, well, I'll help by holding the baby. So knowing how to ask for specific help, I think, too. You know, like, maybe you want to hold your baby, but you need someone to do your dishes. And not being afraid to ask for that. And then absolutely to set boundaries. I even have some clients I work with still setting boundaries of, you don't have to let everyone hold your baby. You don't have to take your baby on an airplane. You don't have to let people who aren't, you know, vaccinated, who are coughing or anything around your baby. Because I think society says, oh, well, family should be, you know, loved and cherished, and absolutely, but to a point. Just because that's grandma, that doesn't mean that they need to be kissing all over your baby if they were just on an airplane across the country. So yeah, really not being afraid to ask for help, reaching out to your supports as much as possible with specific help requests, and then setting those boundaries.
Yeah, I like that. I like the really specific requests for help. What gives you hope for this season in your life?
Wow, watching my baby grow and be so happy now that she's more interactive. I think it's so much more rewarding than when you have this like 3-month-old potato, you know? They just cry and need food and go to the bathroom and sleep. And so now seeing her really interact, or like if you hug her and pat her back, she'll hug you, pat your back.
Yes.
So it's just so rewarding. And then I know deep down that my husband and I are teaching her these things, that she is loving because we're loving her. And that not only gives me hope for her and for us, but also that what we've been doing mental health wise, counseling, medications, all of that is working. Because if I was still in that deep depression and deep anxiety from those first couple of months, like, I don't even know if my daughter would interact with me. I just wasn't a happy person.
What are some of your symptoms of the anxiety? We hear so much about postpartum depression. What were some of the symptoms of your anxiety? How did that play out?
Yeah, so I unfortunately had a lot of panic attacks. Like, we're talking waking up feeling like you can't breathe, like there's something on your chest, heart racing, even like shaking. So the panic attacks were really bad because I would come out of sleep. But then when I didn't have the physical symptoms, it was the mental. Like, is my baby okay? Oh, she had 2 ounces less than yesterday. She must be getting sick. Oh, I must have eaten something bad because of the milk. So all of these thoughts of, I guess, self-blaming, a lot of mom guilt. Oh my goodness. If I even took too long of a shower and too long, right? Who says that? But
Right.
I've been away from her for 15 minutes. What if she cried? So a lot of anxious thoughts, uncontrollable worries, mom guilt, and then a lot of comparing. I had to completely get off social media, right? You don't want to see any of those mom threads or even just a picture, right? Like, you don't know what is in the room. It could be a whole mess, but seeing those perfect baby pictures, perfect family was not for me. I had to push that away because it would just make me too anxious. Am I not doing something right? Am I, and the same thing with baby books. Like, take what advice is best for you, not all the advice.
Yeah. I find that with a lot of my clients with staying off social media is very helpful. Okay. Well, I always like to end with Raindrops on Roses is a song from Sound of Music that has brought me hope and lightens my spirits when I'm down. Is there a song, movie, media that you gravitate towards when you want to be uplifted?
I have 3. So the first is a movie. Lady and the Tramp is my all-time go-to. If I'm having a really bad day, I will watch Lady and the Tramp. So if someone's making me watch Lady and the Tramp, I'm probably having a really bad day.
You're an animal lover.
I am. But I've always just loved that movie. It's just, from the past perspective, it's such an it's just a classic. But then I think music-wise, like if I need to get pumped up or process something, I like the song Fighter by Christina Aguilera, good old 90s hit. And then from the movie The Greatest Showman, This Is Me. And the lyrics to that song, if you've never heard it, just look it up. It's, not ashamed of my scars, like, this is me. And I think that really resonated, especially postpartum. Okay, well, even my body physically looks different, but this is me. This is me as a mom. I'm not going to have my flat stomach that I had before a baby because, I had a baby.
Right.
But just that, this is me. This is the new me. That was me. There's not one me.
Right. That acceptance and love for a newer and somewhat, in some ways, much better version. I think
I would agree.
A growing version. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The mom version.
Yes. Well, I'm excited to see how parenthood keeps going for you, and just I'm really grateful that you were able to be vulnerable and open up in this discussion.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.